Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Simple Man podcast. My name is Brody. Today, we are going to be doing a very special Boba Fett recap series. The very first episode with a special guest. We've got Connor here. You might know him as Palpamemes. How's it going, man?
What's going on? I'm doing great. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, well, like I said, you guys might know him by Palpamemes. You guys might see his YouTube videos. I see his viral tweets every single day, pretty
Oh boy.
much. Boy goes dummy viral. So no, respect for that, man. So
Thank you.
but yeah, we're gonna be doing a Boba Fett sort of recap. Episode one, Stranger in a Strange Land. Uh we're going to be going through it. We're talking a little bit, but I definitely like to talk about what's going on in the fandom with you. So, maybe we can get through the Boba stuff and talk about a little more. So,
For sure. Yeah, yeah.
but so yeah, welcome back, guys. We're just getting back in, and I'm excited to be back. And thank you, Connor, for being here. It's really exciting. So,
Of course, of course.
so overall, what did you think of Boba Fett, just in general? Like,
Overall, man, it was such a complicated show.
mhm.
I wanted to
Yeah,
make so many videos on it and I just didn't because it was so convoluted and we can talk about episodes 5 and 6 and stuff. That's a whole separate storyline.
yeah,
So for Book of Boba Fett, I can't even consider those episodes a part of the show, even though technically they are. But in terms of that story, but with Boba Fett, I've said from the beginning when the show was announced, I said, I mean, I wasn't upset that they were making a Boba Fett show, of course, but I was also like, I don't think Boba Fett needs a show. I've said from the beginning that Boba Fett is written to be a side character. He's never been to be a main focus,
yeah.
and so my biggest hope was that okay, if they make him a main focus in this show, let's make sure he is the main focus, and they actually build up a decent amount of development for him and give us as fans a reason to be like, oh, that's why they made it about Boba Fett and not some new Mandalorian or whatever it would be. Because we
Right,
already got
right.
Din Djarin and stuff. Now we're getting Boba Fett. So for me, I think overall, I lie towards a 6.5 out of 10.
Hmm.
I think I know that sounds low, and that is because I was thoroughly disappointed somewhat consistently throughout the show. I didn't hate it, but it also felt like this show was made simply to fill in a space between Mando season 2. You can say the Bad Batch if you want, and then
Yeah.
of course with the next show that's coming out, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I'm sure we'll be talking about.
Hmm.
Um, Overall, the show it was very forgettable to me, except for those Mando episodes, which
Yeah.
is ironic. It was Mando season 2.5. So yeah.
No, that's yeah, coming out hot with the I like that, like strong opinion there. Got your rating out of the way. That was definitely one of my questions, 6.5 overall. I think that's pretty fair. And I do agree. It's like it really did start to feel like a placeholder in those last episodes, and where they really like succeeded in telling the story that they were trying to tell in the first four episodes. I think it just, I mean, it really did take a left turn that it's not surprising that people are kind of upset by that in a sense. And I mean that the content within those episodes is pretty fantastic in my opinion, but it's just like kind of like you were saying, the way that they did it and the way it was presented, they definitely could have saved Grogu and Mando for Mando season 3.
I've got very, very strong thoughts on Grogu being back already, and
Yeah,
let alone being back in this show is where we see him reunite with Din Djarin.
yeah,
It was very I'm trying to think of a very harsh and strong word to describe my thoughts that Grogu is already back with Din Djarin. Just I think
yeah,
canonically a month later, it's like I was perfectly fine with chapter 6,
yeah,
where Den goes through a little mini arc of selfishly in a way wanting to see Grogu, but then Ahsoka teaching him, oh, that's going to mess things up even more for Grogu. He's already having so much trouble and stuff, and I'm okay with Luke giving Grogu the option to either be a Jedi or don't be a Jedi. Right? I like
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
But what I don't like is just a month later, the entirety of season 2 is built up, even a lot of season 1, that Din Djarin needs to find a Jedi, right?
Yeah,
So we go through
yeah,
this insane, really epic journey to get Grogu to a Jedi, and then a month later in the very next
yeah,
show, and not even Mandalorian, it's undone. And so it was very silly to me. It was a very silly move. I don't understand I don't know whose decision that was, but it's odd knowing that Jon Favreau wrote both Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, because
Yeah, for
they just
sure.
fight each other almost. I mean,
Yeah, it did seem like they clash a little bit, just in the sense of it does seem like somebody else wrote it. At least that second half of the season, you know. I mean, yeah, and I agree. The Grogu thing definitely 100% should have been saved, like for Mando season 3. And I think they could have brought Mando back and done something great with him and Boba and fleshed out those relationships without Grogu, and held on to that. But maybe I should have had you on for episode 6 or 7. But well, let's talk about episode 1 just a little bit. And we'll kind of recap it, and we'll walk through it and see, kind of like, my goal is to sort of see, like, what went wrong throughout the season, what went right throughout the season, sort of throughout this process, see what people didn't like overall. So um try and think back to when you were just watching episode 1 and there's no perspective of all 7 episodes. So it obviously opens up, we sort of get to see a little bit of his flashbacks, and get into the backstory a little bit of how he got to the back to tank, came back in Mandalorian. um we see the Sarlacc pit, which is something has been a mystery for 40 years almost in Star Wars. um and we sort of get to see him from that point on, and the journey with the Tuskens and all that starts. So what did you think just overall about this episode? And like, after viewing that first episode, what were your theories, your thoughts going into and expectations sort of going forward into the season?
yeah. So I remember clearly my watch for episode 1, because I actually did like a little watch party with my Discord members,
uh
which was really fun. It was really fun. We got a lot of speculation to talk about, so I have fond memories of that. And you know what? I said, okay, I see where they're going with it. This is going to be a character type study, right? This is going to be
yeah,
kind of a character study of Boba Fett.
yeah,
And I said, okay, I like that. I've always wanted, if they're going to make a show about a character who's just fan service, they better give him some good depth and
yeah,
development. And I thought that was a very strong start to it. I thought the flashbacks and stuff, especially the Attack of the Clones flashbacks, I was like, okay, this is all going to come full circle. And then, of course, the stuff with the Tuskens, I thought it
hmm
was a very strong opening to the season. But I had always thought, okay, this is like going to be the only episode of flashbacks. Now
right,
we're getting to modern day stuff, right? Because we
right,
had, I believe, the first 4 episodes jump back and forth. It may have been the first 3 or 2. Anyways, the
yeah,
first few episodes will say jump back and forth between flashbacks and present day. So I
right,
remember my main speculation was that, okay, chapter 2 is going to be basically nothing but present day stuff, because they just wanted to show us how he got out, where he is mentally and stuff, how he's changed as a man just a little bit and stuff.
right,
Uh, but I remember enjoying it. I thought it was a fine pilot. I was like, okay, things are going to
yeah.
start kicking off as time goes on and stuff. I was like, it was okay. It was fine.
Yeah. Now that you say that, and I start thinking back to the first episode and how I felt, I definitely thought it would go more into the Clone Wars and like his experiences just throughout his entire life, up to that point. Not just that one little experience, because I did flash back to Attack of the Clones a few times, and those flashbacks didn't really seem to relate, other than his father leaving him, which we already sort of knew, and like we kind of get that from the movies already. So it did kind of seem a little strange that it didn't really go much deeper into his past, in a sense. But yeah, I agree. I thought it was I was psyched after the first episode. And I mean, overall, I really enjoy the series, as sort of a fun thing to watch. I do see sort of the mix up in the storylines and whatnot, but dude, I was psyched after the first episode. I was really looking forward to seeing that, a new side of Boba. But I don't know. I think it's a touchy thing with Star Wars. I thought the same thing about Han Solo. Like, we don't need a Han Solo movie. But then they did it, and I personally love Solo, and there's some great things that come out of that movie. And I think it's the same with Boba Fett. It's, there's positives and negatives. But what do you think about the idea that Boba Fett is soft in this episode specifically and the series.
I accepted it. I will say
Yeah,
I didn't have any strong reaction to it because personally I've never really cared for Boba Fett. I've always
yeah,
seen him for who he is, which is a cool
the side
side
character.
character, action
Yep,
figure hero. He looks
yep.
cool. I mean, I literally have a prototype Boba Fett helmet sitting right over there.
Yeah,
I like, yeah, one
yeah,
of the
I've got a
black.
Boba Fett figure right
There
here,
you go.
man.
You
Yeah,
know, that's who he is. That's always who he's always been to me. So
yeah,
after this, I was like, oh, he's soft. Whatever. He's old. It was kind
yeah,
of a subtle, like, I didn't have a strong reaction. It was like, I'll see where they go with this. I'll see how this works out. And I'd always thought, he may be soft mentally, but he's not soft physically. And I say that because, well, we literally just saw him before the show came out in Mando season 2, and he was not soft. So
right,
that is
right.
big critique I have, actually.
Yeah,
I know we're talking about episode 1, but episode 1 included, and the entire show it is not consistent at all with the Boba Fett that we previously saw in Book of Boba Fett. And it's not like from Return of the Jedi to Book of Boba Fett where there's a huge time gap. So much could have happened to change him. It's like
right.
Mandalorian season 2 happened. Oh man, I mean, you can't even say it happened before because Mandalorian season 2 happens after the flashbacks. So
Right.
there's kind of it is inconsistent from episode 1 on where Boba Fett is completely different than how he is, in Mandalorian season 2. And that I found definitely interesting.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but what I think is interesting is that like they're fighting the Empire in that. I always thought it was sort of weird that like Boba Fett all of a sudden was just destroying stormtroopers, And I mean, obviously he just worked for the Empire and he's a mercenary, but there was some attachment there or something I felt when, he showed up in the Mandalorian. And I don't know. I think when it comes to him being soft, I don't know. I think it was the right way to go with the character. If they're going to continue like making him a main focus because he is a little bit more like friendly and like approachable in a sense to a large audience. But like you said, I take I always took Boba at like the face value. He was a cool character. And I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he definitely was soft though. He definitely was.
For sure, yeah. And I understand with the Tuskens and stuff, we definitely got development that showed kind of how he became that way. But I don't
Yeah,
agree with the soft physically. I think that was a silly decision. I think,
yeah,
especially coming off of Mandalorian, you can be respectable, you can be respectful as a leader, but a part of being respectful is respecting your people and stuff. And that
right,
means when something comes through, you put a stop to it.
right.
And I kind of thought after episode 1 that that's how it was going to go, but it just didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, and I think it does go a little bit back and forth. We see him do like some crazy things. In the first episode, he defeats this large I don't know the exact name of it, this large lizard, dinosaur
Right,
looking
right.
with a chain, with a chain. But he does, maybe a few days prior, he's not able to defeat a Tusken Raider, and again, he's at different points in those days. Maybe he's a little bit more tired in that one fight, but the fact of the matter is he beats this giant dinosaur guy, and then he's not able to
You got these
like
assassin
recover
guys,
like 5 years later. It's like 5 years later and he's still not recovered like from it to where he can't fight a few like
it's
assassin
odd.
guys.
Yeah.
It's a little
Was
like
the assassin in episode 1 or 2?
the assassins were at the end of episode 1. Yeah,
And that's the problem I have is where was this guy's why did he barely wore his helmet, I'm like,
yeah.
or his jetpack? How about his jetpack? If I found there's a lot of interesting plot decisions like
Mhm.
to advance the plot that I was like, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's tough when you are trying to advance the plot and show like these epic sort of moments and keep it fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it does go back and forth. We kind of constantly see him do something like really amazing and over the top, and then he can't do something simple.
He strained his back. He's like, put me in the back of
Yeah,
the tank.
yeah. Put me in the back of the tank. Yeah,
That is what we're talking about episode 1. That was something that I found it worked because you need to go back and forth. I get it, but like I found it funny how the back to tank was the scene transition. He goes to
Right.
the back to tank. Here's the memory stuff. I found that.
Yeah.
I didn't find it bad or good or anything. I just found that it was a neat
It was
little way of
interesting. And
doing it.
they
Yeah.
and they kept using the same footage over and over again for the
I
shots.
swear it was the same
Yeah,
shot, just
it was
zooming
the
in.
same
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tell me why he didn't need like a nose plug or something in the back to tank.
Good
He had
point.
like
I
a
never even
mouth
thought about
cover, but
that.
there's no
Yeah.
like nose cover. You're telling me he's not breathing through his nose once or
I
twice
was
while
just
he's in that
thinking,
thing.
yeah, yeah. That is weird.
There's a lot of inconsistencies for sure. I mean, I feel like that's sort of a going thing with Star Wars just in general. I mean, there's a lot of inconsistencies, whether it's story based or visually based. You know, different actors playing the same character, different looking characters in different mediums. You know, we're seeing a lot of that this week. Um, I don't know, but in terms of the first episode, I really think it did a good job of like setting, that dual flashback story. I really did like the crime boss part and seeing that side of people sort of like having to give Boba Fett respect. I thought he sounded kind of dumb, like when he would talk, he sounded a little like, what does he mean? Like, what do you mean? What does he mean? You've been around
Tamara
these sort of
Morrison
deals
agrees
like
with
all
you.
the time. You were right there with Jabba the Fett, Jabba the Hutt in the same exact room doing the same exact thing. You think, I don't know, he sounded like he just didn't like get the lingo in a sense and get how this sort of works. So I don't know. Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of things you're saying. And honestly, I tend to, try not to focus on those sort of things. I try to like just have fun with it. But when you do think about things critically, I mean, they go back and forth constantly with all the things that they do.
For sure.
I don't know. Now we're getting this Kenobi trailer. I think this is the most we've ever seen from a project right out of the gate from the first trailer. Like they just completely put it in our face, and we have not everything. Obviously, we didn't see Vader or anything like that, but we got so much. And I feel like with the Boba Fett marketing, they really set it up to be this Fennec Boba crime boss sort of thing leading up to episode 1. All the advertising, all the commercials were Boba Fett sitting in the throne, looking cool, looking hard, ready to mess somebody up. But then it was just a completely different thing than what we got. Whereas I feel like with the Kenobi trailer, it seems like they're like trying to set people up a little bit more to expect what's coming in a sense. Are you seeing that? Like, like the marketing for Boba Fett was so weird and so bad, and it's been all the marketing for Star Wars has been pretty bad.
I 100% agree with that. I think the Kenobi marketing, I think it's good. I mean, they opened up the Kenobi account and the first tweet was hello there, and I think it might be at 700,000 likes now. I mean,
Wow.
that's insane
Yeah.
numbers for a tweet,
Yeah.
right? That's really, really good. So
Yeah.
the Kenobi shows, I think Lucasfilm, and this isn't even just Lucasfilm, and this isn't even me speculating. Lucasfilm and Disney has talked about how from the beginning, this show has been produced in different ways compared to any other Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
I think everyone is very well aware that this is the story that Star Wars fans are eager to see. Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are back.
Yeah.
They're aware, they know. And so the marketing for this, while I do feel it's delayed, I do feel
Yes.
it was kind of late for it. This show's going to do well. I think the marketing has been pretty good so far. I thought the main teaser poster, it was okay-ish.
It was kind of weak.
whatever.
Yeah.
It was fine. It still got me hyped. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
It was something.
Kenobi.
It was
Ewan
something.
McGregor, and I kind of like that. They're kind of just throwing little, just teasers
Nuggets.
just
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, but I think hopefully they're learning in a sense, with just how far we've come and all the they're constantly getting this feedback from the internet, and I really do hope they take it with constructive criticism and just learn from their ways. They have learned in a lot of ways since The Last Jedi. It made them scared in a lot of ways. And I know which you like the sequels, am I right?
Yeah.
I see the
I'm
Force
very
Awakens back there, and I see Ray
yeah,
Skywalker, and I
yeah.
know I
I
know you made a billboard with Ray
Sure.
Skywalker on it.
So
So
with the sequels and stuff, it's very complicated with me. Episode 9 is my favorite of the three for sure. It's actually one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I really love that story. Episodes 8 and 7, I really like,
mhm.
but I also have a lot of personal disagreements with them, especially episode 8, which is interesting because episode 8, I really like Luke's arc. I
Mhm.
love that concept of Luke's arc. But then with Finn and stuff, how Finn was handled, I completely disagreed with it. So
Really.
it's really weird. But with episode 9, it's the one that like it's almost like my episode 3, right? Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. I like the prequels. I love them. I grew up with them, but they're simply episodes 1 and 2 are simply not good movies. Like they just aren't. Okay. So I know I sound very harsh right now, but episode
I'll
3,
have to disagree about episode 1. I will
are
100%
you are
give
you
you
a
episode
Phantom Menace
2. I
fan?
will give you episode
Fair
2, but
enough.
I'm gonna have to disagree about episode 1. It has its bad parts for sure,
Mhm.
but that movie slaps, dude.
Hey, dude, more power to you, man. I find myself, and this is like I'm assuming we're around the same age. I'm 21.
Yeah,
Literally
I'm
grew up with these
25. Yeah.
films. Okay, cool. I have such a hard time watching Phantom Menace now. But what's ironic is Attack of the Clones. While I think it's the worst Star Wars film, I actually enjoy watching it more than Phantom
Really?
Menace. So there's an interesting thing going on there.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I actually just watched The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I was like, let me put these on. And The Phantom Menace, man, I was like, hell yes, this is
Yeah.
awesome. I watched the whole thing, was super into it. Attack of the Clones, I had to skip the first hour just because, not because it's cringe or anything like that. Like I actually think the main complaints about the dialogue and everything, I think those are pretty fair. Like uh actually for George to put those in with Anakin and Padme being awkward and stuff, like that makes sense to me that they would be awkward.
Mhm.
But I gotta skip the whole first hour because it just doesn't get good until that basically like Geonosis and Camino a little bit.
Yeah, Camino is definitely a strong point. Genos is really great. I think with the sequel, I'm sorry, with the prequels, I think the best part about them obviously is the overall story of it.
Yeah.
But with like I really look at Revenge of the Sith and Rise of Skywalker as really similar films, not like in terms of story and stuff, but similar films on how they are to me. Like the first two of the trilogies, I have a decent amount of problems with, and like, oh, this could have been better. Oh, they should have done this. With the episode 9 and episode 3, I'm like, I can watch those movies over and over again. I'm not even kidding. I can watch them over and over and over again, and I love them. I mean, sure, I know both films 3 and 9 have plenty of flaws. I'm not going to deny, especially 9.
Right.
I'm not going to deny that. I'm not one of those. It's a perfect film.
Yeah.
I think it's very far from perfect, but the story and concept of it, I thoroughly love. But yeah, so with the sequels and stuff, I know that's kind of where we're talking is the sequels. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest thing for me is I see the reaction to the sequels and I look at them, I say, hold on, but there's actually a lot of good that they do. There
Yeah.
is a lot of good, and I feel like there's such a strong negative reaction from the fan base, which is fair and valid. And I feel like for me, I'm like, okay, well, the same thing happened to the prequels, and I love the prequels. Let's look at the sequels kind of the same way. Where let's
Yeah.
find the good in them, and
Yeah.
because everything that's ever been said about the sequels negatively has been said, and it's going to be said over and over and over again, 10,000
Absolutely.
times fold. And
Yeah.
that's fine. But for me, I'm like, I enjoyed these films. I
Yeah.
liked them.
Yeah.
I think I like my rankings for them are episode 9, episode 7, and then episode 8. But I still thoroughly enjoyed them. And I just feel like they're way overhated. They're
Oh,
way overhated.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I try to approach like every project just like that, like in the sense of, you know, there's always good in them. When people describe The Last Jedi as like an atrocity to this entire earth, and I'm just like, bro, calm down. Like, it's for one, it's just a movie. Like, don't watch it if it scares you. Like, there's a lot of good in there, and I'm interested in the fact that you don't like The Last Jedi so much, but you like Luke, because most people don't like The Last Jedi because of Luke. And I personally, I love Luke, and I also love The Last Jedi. So, and I also admire your The Rise of Skywalker love, because that was one that when I saw it the first time, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this one. But as I watched it again, I was like, wow, I actually really like it. It's a super fun movie to watch, and the ending is fantastic, like super. I mean, it's such a good ending to like the Skywalker saga,
Yeah,
and Ray
yeah.
Skywalker lives. And yes, yes, Ray
I,
Skywalker for sure.
I definitely, I think the ending is what really really brought
Yeah.
it together and stuff,
Hmm.
because I know about a lot of deleted scenes and stuff. Many are
Hmm.
publicly shared, some privately, but what the movie holds strongest is that formula and that arc of found family and stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that goes hand in hand with Finn, Poe, Ray, especially Ray, of course. And I think
Mm.
everything's built up to Ray being brought into the Skywalker family. And I find it so funny that, like, well, they didn't actually adopt her. I'm like, did you? It's a movie. Did you want them to like go to the Coruscant legality courts and get little adoption papers and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
written and directed by J.J. Abrams, Tyler
Yeah.
Crow? Like, no, it's like, look, here's the thing, people.
Oh,
I can't. I feel like so many people, like people. A lot of people misunderstand Last Jedi. A lot of people misunderstand Rise of Skywalker. We can talk about that all day, but like, I feel like
yeah.
that most people misunderstand the whole point of Rey and Rey's
Oh,
journey and stuff, because you've got
100%.
you got Rey fans who really hated the idea of her taking the name, which, I make myself clear, that's fine. But then you've got the crowd who claim that it was done because for sexist reasons and stuff, and that's when I just laugh, because I'm like, no, it was
Yeah.
her choice, right? It's
Yeah.
like, if you come from the most horrendous person in the galaxy who's ever lived, but you're also somewhat raised, especially raised as a Jedi, which is who she is,
Yeah.
by this family of love and care. Yeah, no duh, you're gonna want to be brought into their family officially. Like, no duh, you're gonna take on their name. It blows my mind that so many people, it would have been an interesting concept if she took on kept the Palpatine name and tried to make it better. But I'm like, yeah, but then you don't have the Rise of Skywalker. Then you have the
Yeah.
Skywalker's dead. It's like, do you got, like, the whole point of the film is like, yes, the Skywalkers are now all by blood with one with the Force, right? Not in
Yeah.
my opinion. I thought that was a
Right.
very fine way to end the Skywalker saga. But now you've got a Palpatine being brought into the family of Skywalkers officially, and they're going to guide her. You got Anakin, you got Luke, you've got now Ben Solo with the Force. These people still live as Force ghosts eternally. They always will. And so it just, I could go on for hours and hours and hours of how goofy it is, and some of the arguments I see against this character trope. And I understand Rey is a convoluted character. She's got issues and stuff. I agree with that. But to say that she doesn't have an arc or a proper arc, I'm like, come on now. Come on.
Dude, you're making me smile, dude. Like, if some of my followers that have been following me for a really long time, like, man, 4 years ago I was like a sequel, like, supporter, die hard, like always in the trenches for the sequels. I've kind of given up now. You just gotta let people do whatever they want. But like, man, you explained it perfectly. Like, the ties that they tied these sequel characters to the original characters in such a way that made a lot of sense. It was meaningful. Like you said, the like taking Palpatine and making him Skywalker, taking a Solo who's a Skywalker, helping a Palpatine. It's like all these things tied to the prequels, basically, all coming together, and then Rey's a Skywalker at the end. It just makes perfect sense. Like, and the people who say Rey Palpatine, like Rey Palpatine is who she is or who she should
As an
be.
insult or whatever. Yeah.
I don't even know if it's an insult or if they
They
truly.
try. Most
I
people
think
say they try and do it to try and trigger people, which is just
I
goofy.
think some people are serious about it though. Like, I've seriously
Oh, for
had
sure.
conversations where they're like, "No, she's a Palpatine." I'm like, "Yeah," but
Yes, but like, did you
yes.
understand the message
Did
of
you
the
see?
film? That's
Did
what I don't
you?
get. It's like
Yeah.
George. Here's people can never answer this when I tell them that. I said, George's kids aren't actually Lucas's blood.
Wow.
He's actually got
Mic
adopted
drop,
kids.
dude.
So
Yeah.
so
For
every time I
real.
throw it on, then they're like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
it
I
makes me,
mean,
it's not it's like a gotcha, because it's like, look, if you want to talk about this, and I've got a close friend who was adopted, and he's like, dude, I didn't really like the movie, but that whole arc I freaking loved, because he himself is adopted from a horrible family. His
wow.
biological father was a really, really bad person.
Yeah.
And so he was adopted into a very great family. And he's like, dude, he said he cried. I'm like, yeah, that's the message of the film.
That's the
Some
message.
things are stronger than blood. And I
Yeah.
find it funny too. I don't know, man. There's so much we can talk about with that.
No, I mean, dude, you hit it on the head, man. The message of those movies, honestly, the messages of the sequels fly right over people's heads. The message behind Luke being the way that he was, and how much more powerful of a story it is to see him come back from that than to just see him at that point from start, you know?
Mhm.
And I mean, Rey Skywalker being the ending point of that saga, I mean, I thought it was perfect. Yellow lightsaber.
Oh, puts a smile on my
She
face, man. I
buries
got
she
that right
buries
there.
Luke and Leia's. I
I've actually
mean,
got hers.
oh yeah, flex it for
Yeah.
sure. Oh, that's sick.
I need to get cloth wrap on it, but I bought this probably a year ago over.
That's dope.
It's really cool. It's NeoPixel. It's got all the gear and stuff. But I
That's
got
really
that, and
cool.
then the Anakin saber, whoever saber you want to call it. I've got theirs too. But yeah, for sure with Luke and the Last Jedi, it's one of those things where it's like I love the arc, but I do disagree with some certain story decisions, like deleting the Han morning scene. I was like,
It
come
could have
on,
been
man.
longer too. Even that scene that they
Yeah.
deleted, like it could have been. I mean, they definitely could have fleshed that out for sure.
It's funny because I would have been perfectly fine with 90% of the movie just being Luke, Ray, Kylo, and Snoke.
Yeah,
And
no,
that by
100%.
far, like when I talk about the things I disagree with, it doesn't have to do with Luke, Ray, Han.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Luke, Ray, Ben, and Snoke. The only thing I wish is I don't like how Snoke went. I thought Snoke was built up to be a very, very interesting and possibly intriguing character with a really interesting backstory. And I understand Ryan just didn't care for it, but in my opinion, if you're going into the middle of a trilogy to write and direct it, you have a responsibility to fulfill the setups in the previous film.
right.
You have a responsibility to further those established ideas and stuff. And but even like every Snoke scene, dude, with Ben,
Oh,
that mental,
oh,
emotional
dude,
torment, dude,
those are
it's
my
great.
favorite. That's someone like that dialogue when he's like, "You were bested by a girl who never held a
Yeah,
lightsaber." Oh
it's
man,
funny.
that
It
like
sounds
gives
like
me
a
like chills. It's so
yeah.
good. It's so like Darth Vader,
Mhm.
Emperor style dialogue, and yeah, the torture on Ben and everything. It's such a good part. I 100% agree with you. I used to actually say that exact thing. Kylo, Rey, Luke, and Snoke are some of the best Star Wars we've gotten pretty much in that movie, but the rest was completely out of whack pretty much.
I've been wanting to make like a super cut. It'd be like a 4 hour cut of the
Yeah,
sequels, the whole
that would
entire
actually be pretty
trilogy. And
cool.
obviously, it'd be messy because it's hard to delete certain scenes, especially in
Yeah.
episode 9, without missing lots of important information. But I'd love to make like a super cut and kind of combine the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker together. Like, in my opinion, the Battle of Crate would never happen.
Yeah.
Last Jedi, it'd be weird. I don't know how I do it, but because there's like it'd be interesting. Though I love the Battle of Crate. I will say that's
Yeah.
a very fun battle.
That's an epic scene for sure. You can definitely cut some stuff out of the sequels and it would make sense, I think,
Yeah.
especially if you just followed the characters that you would focus on, Luke, Ray,
What we just said,
Leia.
yeah,
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 exactly.
that's exactly what it would be.
It's tough because I absolutely love Finn, but it's like and, and I actually really do like each of his parts, but I do see where they sort of miss the opportunity to do more, you know? It's like you could almost erase Finn and Poe pretty much from the trilogy, and it would still pretty much be like the same outcome, you know? And that's not good when those are the two of the new main characters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I
Obviously, you wouldn't want to erase them, and it like that obviously doesn't make sense, but you could work it out that way where it's
I
just
get what
Ray,
you're
Ben,
saying.
and the originals, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, people say that about like the Phantom Menace too, which is
That's
funny. Like you
true.
could Reese Phantom Menace in the same. Yeah, I agree to an extent. I think those characters really remind me of Han Solo
That's true. Yeah, they
because
do.
Han was pretty good in A New Hope, but especially in Return of the Jedi, Han is pretty weak. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's very underwhelming.
He
He's just
doesn't
kind
do,
of
yeah, he doesn't really do much. He
he
just,
doesn't. And so
he's
I've
in
always said,
Carbonite and
hot
then
take, he should have died in Empire Strikes Back. And who's the director? Oh my gosh, I always forget
Irvin
ESB.
Kershner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the director's name of Empire Strikes Back. I always forget his name, but yeah, I think he was the one who disagreed with George's decision to bring him back. I'm like, yeah, that's a solid emotional ending, and if you're gonna bring him back, at least give a really important reason to bring Han back. I
Yeah.
feel like they didn't do it, but hey, it led us to some great Han moments in the sequels for sure. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it wouldn't be what it is today without that. And like it's
mhm.
hard to kind of go back and say what if, but yeah, I mean, Han's death is one of the most emotional parts of the entire saga, in my opinion. not emotional, but definitely intense and sad overall. Like, so I don't know. I don't think if he like goes off in the carbonite though and he like dies, would they have done it like that? If like, or would they have had him die in another way? Because if it was Empire Strikes Back, but he just didn't come back in
Mhm.
Return of the Jedi, it would like
You
definitely
leave the
wouldn't have
door
been as
open.
fulfilling, like
Yeah.
or as sad. I'd have been like, Han died, like what?
Mhm.
You know, they do say he's alive in the movie, so I feel like it would have
True.
had to been different, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. It's really cool to talk about the sequel still and hear fresh opinions and that sort of thing. Uh, I will say the Rise of Skywalker it's moving up in my list, so and you've moved it up a little bit more. So
Good. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, like, you know, people always try and tell me, "Oh, you just like it just to like it." I'm like, "Nah, dude. I've probably liked 50% of the things Star Wars has done in the past few years, or like whenever they bought out the franchise. Like, I have had
mm,
so many disagreements, especially like Bad Batch and Book of Boba Fett. I just didn't like those things. You know, I was
mm,
very disappointed by them, and a lot of story decisions I didn't like. But man, dude, like, there's a lot of things I like that they've done, and same with the prequels and stuff. Look, prequels were hated, if not even more than the sequels and stuff. Is
yeah,
the difference with the sequels is you got the internet, so
social media. Yep,
it's much more
yep.
widespread and easier to kind of build that echo, you know. But yeah, no, yeah, Rise is definitely my favorite. I think where the Last Jedi like really tanks for me is Rose and Finn. I felt like Rose shouldn't have been there. I feel really bad for killing
Mm,
Marie Tran and what happened to her. I feel like it should have just been Finn and Poe. Or
yep,
how about I think I always thought, I always pictured this is Force Awakens kind of sets both the two Jedi up. Finn and Rey. Of course, Rey is much more skilled and attained because she comes from something strong, a strong lineage, whereas Finn is the nobody Jedi, right? A
right.
stormtrooper, um, a rebellious stormtrooper. And I always thought it'd be very interesting if Last Jedi was basically Lucas training Rey, and then you've got Leia who senses this force sensitivity from Finn. She always thought that sense was coming from Rey, but now that Rey's gone, she's still feeling it, and she's like, "Oh shoot, this is coming from Finn." And so you'd have the two Skywalker twins training the new two Jedi of the sequel trilogy, and I feel like that would have made for a much better and more coherent story overall that really all comes together in the end.
Yeah.
So that's why I vouch for this Rey and Finn show, man. Legacy of the
Oh
Jedi.
yeah,
And
dude.
what's interesting is there's been a lot of heavy evidence that it's in the
It's
talk.
coming
It's in
back.
talks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's those, Daisy Ridley has talked about it. Kathy had a meeting with Daisy not too long ago, and Finn, John Boyega said he'd come back. And we got that Variety report. I don't know if you guys saw that. A worker at Variety said that they're slowly starting to work on stories for New Jedi Order. So
Yep.
I think it definitely will happen, and I want it. I want it mostly for just making these characters better and just getting us a better story and stuff. I think it's a bad idea to just say you mess up on something. Okay, well, you don't just forget about it. You learn from it and you fix the mistake, right? So with Finn,
Right.
they messed up. Okay, learn from it, fix the mistake. There's a
Yeah.
really great story there.
No, yeah, I completely agree, man. It's like, and the thing is, it's so negative online, but these movies have a large fan base. They really do. And when Kylo Ren merch comes out and Rey merch comes out, people buy it. I mean, whether it's Reylos or, whoever a lot of people stereotype like sequels fans in different ways, like in a sense, but they're real people, they're real fans of these
Mm-hmm.
movies. They didn't make billions of dollars because they were terrible. Um, I just think that if they do continue it, there's going to be people who support it. There's going to be a lot of people who trash it just automatically. Comes with the territory, I think, of the sequels now. But yeah, I mean, I would love your little edit of Tales of the Jedi or whatever, or is it New Jedi Order? Which one did you do?
Oh, the Photoshop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my concept name is Legacy of the Jedi.
Legacy of the
Yeah,
Jedi. That's what it
yeah,
is. That's what it is.
yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, and I love what you just said about the Last Jedi and Finn and Leia. That like idea. You could leave everything in the Last Jedi the same, pretty much, and give Finn and Poe that part while mixing in this Leia aspect.
Mhm.
And then it leads into the Rise of Skywalker, where who knows, maybe Finn still hasn't come out as the Jedi or something like that, and he finally realizes it in the last movie. But I mean, We
I
all
always thought it'd
know
be
what
cool if
happened on Canto Bite. So
with Canto Bight, and then unfortunately what happened with Carrie Fisher, you know.
yeah, absolutely.
So like even then there would be, I think if that happened, then Rise would be like a 2-year time jump, and they just basically be like, okay, Finn has been training, he's got a lightsaber, he's been training. I feel like that's how they would
Right.
have done it. But
Yeah.
yeah, you talk about merch and stuff. I see people all the time saying sequel stuff doesn't sell well, and I just want to ask him, where are you getting those numbers from?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you said. I remember whenever the Rey Force Effects lightsaber got pre-order announced
Yeah.
a few months ago, whenever it was, and it like sold out like a day after.
Yeah.
And then the Funko Pops sold out. I remember on Amazon, I tried to buy a Ray and Finn Funko Pop, or
Hmm.
Ray and Ben Funko Pop, and the new ones, and they sold out. I'm like, what are these people talking about? I mean, toys in general don't do well no matter what it is, because guess what? Toys just aren't the thing anymore. It's these
Right.
devices, you know?
Right.
And so I don't know. I don't know where people get these numbers. I don't know if maybe they have inside sources for Walmart's
Oh, they
toy
do.
sale aisle.
They do.
Apparently, you know, because
They
I've
do.
got people that tell me, and some friends that tell me, yeah, they just don't sell well. I'm like, I mean, yeah, they're not going to sell as well as like Grogu merch, because Grogu's freaking Grogu. But like,
Yeah.
what do you mean they don't sell well? I don't know. I see Star Wars merch all the time. At the gym I go to, I've seen like 3 or 4 people with Star Wars sequel related cups. There's like 2 people that have a Last Jedi cup, and then a few people that have a Rey cup. Like, and that's just the gym I go to. You know, it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's exactly right. It's like, where do you get these numbers? Where do you get these rumors from the executives? I mean, people just pull stuff out of thin air, you know. But I mean, the sequels, like I said, they're loved. They're loved by us, you know. Maybe not The Last Jedi for you or The Force Awakens, but you at least like
Oh, I love
G.
many
Ross.
aspects of them. I'll say this. I love the sequel trilogy.
There you go.
I have
There
plenty
you
of
go.
issues with individual films, though. Does that make sense?
That no
Same thing
no
with the,
I'm
same thing with the
taking no
prequels.
that soundbite right there. I love the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
That's going to be the headline of this podcast.
Listen,
So
I've got enough hate videos made on me already. I just got another one made 2
that,
days ago, something like that, a few days ago.
dude,
So
that's
silly, so
that
silly.
that type of stuff encourages me, man. No,
Yeah.
don't listen to what they say. They're
Oh, it makes me
they're
laugh.
just mad, man. They're mad that
I
your
don't, I don't know
tweets
if
go
you know.
dummy viral, dude.
I don't know if you know. Oh yeah, that Rey Kenobi lightsaber thing.
Yeah.
You see
Oh,
that?
dude.
That was funny.
How many? That's like, there's like a couple trigger points where you can really get people every single time you post. It's the Skywalker lightsaber, Luke in The Last Jedi, and apparently now it's the Grand Inquisitor. So,
Gosh, the Grand Inquisitor, man.
oh,
Yeah, or calling Rey a Skywalker. It's like no matter
oh,
what
Rey
the context
Skywalker,
is,
of
no matter what
course.
it is, you will have people. Oh,
Oh,
I have to let him know that she's not one. You know,
yeah,
it's just it's like it's weird. It's like a weird obsession, man. It's like
it
embedded
is.
in their mind. And I don't know. I'm immature, you know. I'm petty, and I like to troll a little bit. It's funny. Like I don't know. Like I
do
feel
too.
bad, but I'm like, nah, this is funny. This is funny.
Yeah.
Like it's not hurting anyone, but yeah.
I've done the same. I definitely don't do it as much anymore, just because I'm just like, I'm tired of it. You know, like
I
just
rarely
overall,
do
I'm just
it.
like, it's just. I'm just tired of it. I got too many things going on to be, caught up in that stuff. But I definitely used to troll people super hard and like bait, just kind of like the conversation into it. But people will make themselves look stupid over and over and over again just with one sentence, and you can just write them off and you're like, okay, this person's 13 or
I wish I could say
89
that.
or
Yeah.
89.
Well, I think that's like part of it is like kind of hopefully making these people realize how kind of silly they sound. Like people who got triggered at my Rey Kenobi lightsaber post. I mean, people were really like there was a lot of people genuinely mad and stuff, and everyone just started laughing at them. And I was like, I mean, yeah, how could you not tell it was a joke? It's like maybe reflect a little bit that you take this stuff so seriously that these little things, these little jokes, stuff will trigger your mind or something. I don't know.
You have to tweet about it. Yeah,
I can't describe it, but I don't know. I literally posted that meme as I was like, oh, this is just
funny
funny
meme, right?
I posted it, yeah, and it was like whatever, and then it got like it freaking blew up. Like my brother's coworker saw it on like Facebook. Isn't this your brother? And it's like it was like it was widespread. It was just funny, man. I don't. Oh,
you hit a nerve, that's for sure, dude. That you hit a nerve.
I wasn't trying to. I was trying to make a joke.
Well, that's honestly I found that's when it happens the most. Most times when I'm just like, oh, this is funny. This is like a really sarcastic like thing to say. Those are the ones that go off and they trip people out so hard. because I think you did it in such a perfect way to trigger them that way. That's just
That
how it
wasn't the
works.
point.
And that's how it works online. That's how it works.
It's both sides of that too. I don't want people thinking that I'm just talking about this side. Like, no, it's like I've seen people on every single side of the fandom get triggered over really ridiculous things that are
Yeah.
either clearly jokes or stuff that's just not worth getting upset over, because at the end of the day, these are movies made for 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And so it's like, not to say you can't critique them and stuff, but
I mean, we've been sitting here talking about them for an hour, so
well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, sure, the target audience is 10 to 12, but shoot, there's some pretty cool freaking movies, man.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah.
Make me happy, so I don't care how old I am.
Yeah, exactly. And
Love what you love, and that's nothing wrong with that.
that's the message, man. That's the message that we're trying to put out here on the Simple Man. So, well, man, I really appreciate you coming on, and we went way off into the sequel territory, and Kenobi. We didn't get too much into Kenobi, but I think there's been a lot going on in terms of internet coverage on that. So, but Boba Fett overall, we're giving it a mediocre rating.
Mediocre. Yep. Unfortunately.
Fett, keep the helmet on. Maybe do a few more push-ups. Really get rid of that back to tank, and he'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Connor. If you have anything you want to promote or plug, absolutely do that. I know you've got YouTube and Twitter, but you can say your handle or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, my YouTube channel is just Palpamemes. I'm trying to work on some different unique type of videos and stuff, things that people haven't done before, some more fun videos. So if you guys are interested in different types of YouTube creators and stuff who have a more balanced mindset rather than an outraged mindset.
There we go.
I try and be that way. I try and be that way. I look, at the end of the day, I like what I like. I dislike what I like, and I will let you know if I like something or dislike it. But that's just how it is. And I don't go overboard. I don't go outraged. So,
I mean, that's a pretty sane human being thing to say. So
I hope so. I hope I'm sane.
There you go. And
I don't know, man.
I see, but that's the exact, what you said is the exact message that I try and spread. And I realize that, when your voice hits something in the community, you do want to leave a good impact. And it's I'm really tired of seeing just the same reactive complaints over and over and over again. And obviously, like you said, there's stuff that you don't like, there's stuff that you like, that's completely fine. But this culture of something happens in Star Wars, let's go spread all the negativity on the internet has it's got to stop in some way.
It's outrage culture. I mean, I can bring up the Inquisitors. I know we're wrapping this up, but I can bring up the Inquisitors.
Oh, absolutely.
I do not like the design of the Inquisitors in Kenobi at all. I think it looks pretty bad, genuinely awful, especially because we've seen that POW species in live action originally in Revenge of the Sith. I get it's prosthetics and stuff, so it's different and stuff, but man, it just doesn't look good. But holy freaking cow. Some people are acting like this is destroying the entire show. And again, it comes to balance. It's I criticize it, and I'm like, this is just not good. But I'm like, shoot, but I'm still excited for the Kenobi show. I think this Kenobi show looks great. So yeah,
it's blown my mind that we've waited years to see Obi-Wan again and see this trailer and get that first glimpse of him. And I barely saw a single post about Obi-Wan. And it was all about the Grand Inquisitor.
Just floods your feed, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. When you compare Revenge of the Sith guy, that talks to Obi-Wan to the Grand Inquisitor, face to face, they don't look the same whatsoever. And Revenge of the Sith looks much more alien. This one looks much more human. It doesn't look the same, but when I look at them each individual, I'm like, whatever, man. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be cool. And I personally think the Rupert Friend, I think his name is, he looks pretty cool. I think if you didn't know what Grand Inquisitor looks like, you'd be like, whoa, this guy looks pretty cool. But it's just
spinning lightsaber
comparison. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's much more than just the face and everything. We haven't actually seen him yet. Also, we saw 2 clips of a trailer. So I guess we'll see. But I'm definitely down to not post the same thing that every other single person posts, and we'll just call it good.
Yeah, I was saying, be yourself. Everyone's unique. Show that uniqueness. Following an echo chamber, following that crowd just because it's popular. I'm not saying everyone does that, but I do see a lot of it. And Just be
Definitely,
yourself,
man.
be unique, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Well, you've spread some serious Yoda wisdom, honestly. I'm definitely excited for people to hear this, and thank you for being on the show, Connor. Really
Of
appreciate it,
course,
man.
man. I appreciate it. Anytime you want me back on, just let me know, and I'm
Awesome,
down to
man.
be on. So,
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with a very special guest, another guest for episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.